In this video, I'm going to show you how to do dendritic collage papers using two pieces of glass with paint pressed in between them. Hello, my name is Catherine Rains. I'm a mixed media collage artist, and welcome to Tune In Tuesday, where I share weekly art demos to expand your mixed media toolbox. If you see value in this video, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel. Links for all the supplies to make these papers are down below, and while you're there, check out my free 5-day class where I show how to use all the papers taught during Tune In Tuesday to make fabulous collages the very first try. So let's get started creating dendritic collage papers. Here are the papers we're going to be making, and they are called dendritic papers. And basically, it's sandwiching paint in between either two pieces of glass or two pieces of plexiglass. And you can get lots of different things happening here. You know, from a nice kind of full sheet, you can also do dots, which I love. Let's start with our first paper. Now, the first thing you need to know is that this can be done with, again, both glass. This is actually glass that I ordered off Amazon. So I just ordered two pieces. 8 by 10, I think this is. After I started doing it with the glass, I realized that plexiglass is cheaper and it actually in some ways works better. The big difference between using glass or plexiglass is that glass is super, super easy to clean. The plexiglass, the acrylic paint wants to hold on to it. I did get it off though. I used a Murphy's Oil Soap, Murphy's Oil Soap something or other, it's a spray. And that does get it off. And if you soak your little plates as soon as you do it, this would probably come off right away also. But I don't soak them right away. I keep playing. So they're completely full of paint, and then I have to do some major scrubbing to get it off. So, and you can also do this on any kind of paper. So I did this on a lot of different kinds of like copy paper, drawing paper, black paper. It all looked beautiful. You could do heavy body paper like a watercolor paper or mixed media. That would work great too. But you know, because I'm going to be using these papers for collage, as much as I can, I actually like using lighter weight paper if it works for it. So first step is we're going to make just a classic dendritic paper. So what I'm going to do is add some paint to my plate. Now, those of you who have been here many times, you know that I use Nova paint. You can use anything, but I like Nova paint a lot because, watch this, it just squirts out really nice. It has a nice, not liquid, but it's like a soft body consistency. So you need some flat brushes to just spread out your paint with. So the thing that was hard when I first started doing this was knowing how much paint to put down. If you put too little paint, it doesn't work. If you put too much paint, you get blobs. And by the way, I could have just put too much paint on right now. I do not know. I'm hoping I got the right amount, but it's easy to do it wrong. So what you do is you take a second piece of glass, put it right on top. Now I'm going to take I'm not going to put them exactly on top like this. I'm going to put them slightly off, which will help me, so there's like a little rim right here, all the way around, which will help me actually pull the first plate off. So the way you do this is you kind of just press hard. And if you can hear this, but it's cracking underneath. It's another reason glass is a little harder to use. You're supposed to use really sturdy glass. I'm not sure if this is sturdy glass. This came from a frame. Actually, it would have been used in a frame. I actually bought it on Amazon, just the paper, just the glass itself. So I'm trying to get it really kind of pressed down. And if I just let go, you can start seeing some of the dendritic little things happening. So what's happening is air is getting in there and creating some patterns. So I'm just kind of like, you know, going to help it along here a little bit. But I'm seeing some more patterns along here. Again, I could have put, you know, too much paint in some places. It's hard to know. Okay, so we're going to take a risk here. And I'm going to lift this up. Now, you don't want to slide it off. You want to lift this top one off very straight off of it. Okay, here we go. And it looks pretty good, but I don't have, like, this is kind of like blotchy. I actually have 2 prints here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of copy paper, lay it on top, just lightly tap it, both of these, and see what we get. I mean, that's pretty good. I like that. Now, I don't like that I've got some blotches here. This is really because I probably have a little bit too much paint there, but this is like gorgeous. And since I'm using this for collage, I can easily just cut out the piece I like. So let's see what we have on the second one. So the nice thing about this is you get 2 for 1. Each one of these is 2. Pull this one up. Well, same thing. Usually I get 2 equal prints. They're mirrors of each other. But again, I have this piece right here, which is good enough for me. Now, I already have, you know, stuff on here. So I can actually put more paint and get a second print off the same one. So I think I'm going to do, just put some blue down here. Let's see if I can get the consistency right this time. Now, by putting paint on top of what I already have, I'm not going to get the same kind of print. You know, doing it on plain glass, like if this was a clean glass, you just get a different kind of image, which I'll show you, which you'll see as soon as I put this down. I'm actually taking off a little bit of the paint to see if that was my issue last time. As always is the case, I end up making many of these, trying to get, you know, like something that I really love. And I ended up with a good dozen papers that were just okay until I finally got what I really loved. And I actually like what I pulled just now. I think that's really pretty, but usually I get a full sheet. I don't get, you know, some splotches. Now, obviously you can't see the dendritic patterns. There's a little bit happening right here because the paint's actually covering them up. Okay, so we're gonna take a risk here. Always take a risk. I'm gonna lift, again, I'm not sliding this at all. I'm literally lifting the top one up because I don't want to ruin the dendritic patterns underneath. Let's see what we got. This might even be better than the first one. So put this one down. This one down. This dries on the plate really fast, so you've got to put both down pretty quickly or one of the plates will dry before you get anything. And you don't want to rub it too hard, by the way, either, because rubbing it might actually flatten the dendritic pattern. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. So I think that's beautiful. Now, obviously this one, this little middle piece I don't like, but I really love how small that is. And this is what always happens for me when I do a second. So this was the first pull. This is the second pull. It's just the patterning is much smaller on the second one. Now, let me pull this one up, see what we got here. Yeah, so this one's not as good, although I do like this right here. I mean, that'll be really pretty. Now, I wanted to mention, you know, why I choose the papers I do to demo. So dendritic painting is, you know, this is much quieter, you know, in terms of, it's not very busy. Like last week I did balloons, and balloons had a lot of colors going on, a lot of action. And what my intention with these papers that I'm making every week is that every 5 or so papers, meaning every 5 or so weeks, I want to take the papers I've made and show you how to turn those 5 papers into one collage. So I don't want every single week to have papers that are kind of wild. So this right here would be a nice contrast to those balloon papers. You know, this is something a lot quieter, although there's a lot of pattern, it's only one color. So it would be a nice contrast to it. So I'm going to put these aside. So this is, by the way, these are so easy to wash. The glass is. So all I'm going to do, basically, I could just run it under water and it would just peel right up. But I was using, but it's Murphy's Oil Soap. It's a soap that I just spray on it. Since the first one I did had kind of mixed results and I got some blotching, although I think that's gorgeous, I decided I'm going to try the same thing again, but with a little bit of variation in color. These are 2 pieces of plexiglass, and I've got the links to these down below in the show notes. So I'm going to pour out some blue. just a dot of yellow, because I'm on a little bit of variety in my color. More white. And I'm going to spread this out. A lot of this has to do with how much paint you put down. You know, it's hard to tell each time, you know, what you're going to get. But you kind of get a feel as you do it in terms of how much paint to put down to get the results you want. So I put the other one right on top. I'm offsetting this just a little bit so it's oops, and you don't want to you want to keep this directly on it. I just slid it a little bit so that kind of mushes the fractals. But I'm already seeing some fractals happening. But I want some really good contacts. I'm pushing hard. One of the advantages of using plexi as opposed to glass is I can push pretty hard. You know, it's hard to push against glass and get the paint to move underneath. I can press down, but I can't get all this kind of movement happening. So let's see if we can get some more all over fractals happening. So you want to carefully lift this up and hope for the best. Yeah, this time it worked. So if you can see this, I have beautiful fractals on both sides. So you want to quickly put your paper down. And just lightly kind of make contact with the paper, not rubbing too hard. So let's see what we got. Oh yeah, that is gorgeous. Absolutely love it. Let's see if we got a second one. And also gorgeous. So, these are keepers. Let's see what we're gonna do. Let's do a gold. So I'm gonna put, by the way, this is iridescent fine. I love this paint, use a ton of it. I'm surprised I don't have it in a gallon. So pour a little down, clean paintbrush, get a nice coat going here. And again, it's hard to know how much paint. You know you got the right amount if you actually get a dendrite, they call it a fractal. I think it's the right terminology. Let's see, I think this looks good. But again, you can do it too thin, you can do it too thick. Okay, don't play around anymore. Put this other one right on top. And again, I'm gonna put it offset just a tiny bit so that I have something to pull up. Now you can see the little fractal, I can't say that word, fractals, the dendrite things coming up right away. So I'm gonna just kind of help them along by pressing. Now I love printing gold onto black, so I actually bought some black drawing paper for this. And you never know if it's going to be what you want. So the real advantages of using the plexi is this is super, super easy to pull up. Watch, look at that. You can see it right there. Look at that. Ah, it's gorgeous. Okay, so I've got two. And I'm going to take 2 pieces of my black to stick it on top. And again, I'm not pushing too hard, just making sure I got it, it's adhered. And here we go. Let's see if it works. Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And again, this is a quieter piece of paper that would go really beautiful, you know, with my balloon papers. And that was kind of weak, you know, it didn't show as much. So I'm going to just put dots of color on here. And I'm kind of laying it on kind of thick because I do want, I want some pretty big dots. And the more paint I put on here, the bigger the dots I get. All right, so take this second sheet, put it on top, and again, I'm slightly putting it off to the side. Now, for this one, oh, isn't that pretty already? I'm gonna just push on the dots. So the nice thing about using plexi as opposed to glass, you know, there's a potential I could break the glass, which I don't want to do when I'm pushing like this. And the plexi is so flexible that I really have a lot of control over pushing. Like as in I can push more, whereas on the glass I can't. The glass, you know, actually holds itself steady, so I can't do this kind of smushing. Like those fractals are coming out really, really pretty along the edges here. These are much bigger dots than I did on my reel on Instagram today. So it'll be interesting to see the difference. Like that one's a full fractal. You can see that. It's got, you know, lots of little branches coming out. Okay, I think it's time to pull this one up. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's gorgeous. These on white. Again, I'm just lightly tapping them down. There's a little bit of bubble here that might affect the second print, but let's see what we got. Oh, this was, well, no, I like it. It's just the white, that is white there, so it showed up white. And then, let's see what the second one shows. And that's interesting too. Imagine doing this with like just black. Like just having black dots, I think would be cool. So I want to do, this is something I haven't tried, by the way. I'm actually trying it with you. I'm putting down, I'm going to make a red. Okay, so I got a nice red here. And actually, to be honest, I want orange because I love orange and blue. Anybody else? Anybody else into orange and blue? I just think, of course, I got a little blue in this, which I don't want. Let me see if I can make this work. Want it brighter. I got some blue on my paintbrush. I gotta get. And now I got it too yellow, so we're gonna make a little. This is Quin Magenta, by the way. So my 3 primaries that I use for everything, I don't switch colors. I do Philo Blue Green Shade, Hans Yellow Light. That's much, much better. Okay. So that's my orange. Oh, gosh, there's some blue here. I didn't think the blue was active. I mean, I thought it was dry. Okay. And I'm going to put some dots where I didn't have them before. I don't know if I'm going to like this color or not. It's kind of more salmon-y than I really intended, but that's okay. You know, the serendipity of the moment is what we're doing here. I think this is a little more salmon-y because accidentally I got some blue in here. All right. So what you're going to do, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to lay this exactly where it was before. So I'm mirroring the 2 images together. And now I'm going to push. And now I got some overlap going, which I think is going to be so cool. Yeah, makes me think this is going to be good. But we don't know until we lift it. So these blue dots are now dry. You know, they're not going to show, they're not, of course I had to push one. They're not going to do anything else, but I can push these farther. And I'm just trying to force the, you know, the fractals to come out. They're going to come out regardless, by the way. But I think I'll get more if I push on them a little bit. Okay, you ready? Here's the big reveal. There you go. I'm already loving it. Wow, love. Okay, so now I'm going to take this paper that I've already done something with, and I'm not going to be too precious about it. I'm just going to lay it down. Same thing with this one. Lay it down. Let's see what kind of layering I get. Okay, here we go. Well, you know, that has potential. I think what's the problem here is that some of these were too white, so we're not getting the contrast I want. This one looks like, actually, I think that one's really pretty too. But can just imagine doing different colors because these are overlapping. I just think that is, or just cutting out like that orange there, or cutting out like that little piece there for a collage element. So these are mirror of each other, but they turned out differently. Anyways, I think that's a pretty cool technique too. And I think that's all she wrote. So thank you for joining me for Tune In Tuesday. And I will see you next week with another paper, another art demo. Thanks so much for coming and joining me. I really am very honored that you choose to be here. Many of you every single week. Bye-bye.